Next slide. In this paragraph, they say the introduction to the initiating group is that this is a lunar-based planning group. And then it's going to be attended by the RAND Corporation, by people from UCLA, by North American Aviation. Next slide, please. You can see that this colloquium took place between May 13, 1958 and April 25, 1959. Next slide. Next. Here's another contents of a separate section of the same document. The chemistry of the moon, chemical resources on the moon, power for a lunar colony, where to land on the moon, observations on Mars and Venus. It doesn't say observations of Mars and Venus. Gamma-ray spectroscopy of the moon's surface, program of lunar and planetary experiments, and the crater Linne, which is very important, ladies and gentlemen, because the crater Linne has completely disappeared from the surface of the moon. You cannot find it. It's as if bulldozers have covered it up. Next slide. But in 1958, in this document, there may have been someone on the moon at that time. Next slide. Are orbiting the moon who took these photos of the crater Linne. What's so interesting in the crater Linne? Why did they have that in their colloquium? Well, there's a couple of things. One is this right here. Look at the crater. See the crater? See where the shadow is? And see where the sun is? There's another crater. See where the shadow is and where the sun is? That means this is not a crater, this is something sticking straight up from the surface or coming out of the surface of the moon. The caption in the photograph said that this is gas escaping from the interior of the moon. But there's even something even more interesting, and that is in this crater there is a dome. And in this crater there's also a dome. These are both the same photograph taken with different filters. Next slide. Now supposedly we had nothing up there in 1958 and 59 orbiting the moon, and there was nothing on Earth that could take a photograph like that from the Earth. This is the Tonopah area of Nevada. Tonopah test range is out in this area. Next. Down here you can see Nellis Air Force Base. See again up here, Tonopah test range. Down in here is Mercury. Over here is Groom Lake. Next slide. This is the Tonopah test range with some revelations on it. Stealth fighter flight path, turn off to TTR, rocket on stand, radar road, large radar facilities. Unmarked runway used by stealth fighters is here. We could go on and on, but we don't have the time. Next. This area is also the test range. Nellis Air. Over here it says Force Base. Gold Flat. You see over here is Tonopah. Right up here it says Saucer Mesa. See that? Saucer Mesa. I don't know if that means anything, but I think that's a hell of a coincidence in an area where they're testing flying saucers, that you've got a name on a map called Saucer Mesa. Next. This is a letter from a man who worked in, this is in my book, so I'm just going to brush over it lightly, that worked in Area 51 and saw the saucer fly. Next. That's just a lens cap for my camera. We cover up names to protect the identity of people so that they don't get hurt. But in here, he talks about seeing crates like Project Red Light. Project Red Light is the name of the project that I saw that flew the crashed alien discs and the technology that we had for flying saucers. He also talks about the fact that when a certain siren would go off, they were supposed to run into a building and they couldn't look out the windows. Or if they were caught outside, they all wore a little pouch on their belt that contained a black hood. They were to take the black hood out of the pouch, put it over their head, and lie down on their stomach on the ground and not move. Next. And he goes through, he talks about, he says he saw the pilots, they were human and they were just slightly larger than he was. Next. And next. This is a photograph of one of the craft flying above Area 51 in Nevada. Next. This is a photograph of some craft, I forgot where this was taken, it was not in Nevada, but this symbol, some people say that this symbol belongs to a group of aliens called the UMO group. Now I did a lot of research to find out if there's anything in this earth named UMO. I found an UMO corporation in London, England that was a KGB front company. Just like the CIA has front companies. One of them is Gray Advertising in New York City. Belongs to the Central Intelligence Agency. They are the ones who pay the expense checks for UFO Cover-Up Live. Next. This is a saucer developed and flown by the French. It is real. It flies. It's not a joke. Next. It's another view of the same saucer. You can see the hatch down here. This is significant. That is a watertight, airtight hatch.
What kind of technology is that based on?
Boy, you got me. It says here, it says 3 135 horsepower engines would supply the power. Doesn't say that it did, and it doesn't say what kind of engines. Next. Now, if you remember, not too long ago, Jackie Gleason's wife, after he died, released an unpublished manuscript, and in it she says that Jackie Gleason told her that he was asked to accompany President Nixon to Homestead Air Force Base, where President Nixon showed him dead alien bodies in a morgue. Jackie Gleason was very much interested in UFOs and all of that kind of stuff, and he was a friend of President Nixon. Nobody knows if the story is true, but I don't think his wife has any reason to lie to us. Why would she want to discredit her dead husband with something ridiculous that wasn't true? Next. And that was the cover of this magazine, June 14th, 1955. Next. In which this story appeared. This was information leaked by a general. And he gave them a scoop. These are actual drawings of a United States Air Force flying saucer. Tells how it worked. Shows the air base of the future. And what is it? I'll be damned if it isn't an underground base. Where they can go in and out this way, out cliffs like they do under the Archuleta Mesa near Dulce, New Mexico, or up out the top. What a coincidence. Next. Next. As it evolved into this. Here we are again at the Nevada test range. Next slide. Now, this is Broom Dry Lake right here. Notice it says danger. Right up here is where the 29.5-mile marker is. Right up here somewhere is the little alien. Down here is Las Vegas. This highway goes up out of Las Vegas through Alamo to Ash Springs. Then you take this highway down here to the 29.5-mile marker. And you look directly at Groom Lake on any given night from dusk till dawn, and you will see them fly. You can take photographs of them. You could videotape them. Thousands of people have done it. They have called into radio shows and said what they saw. When Billy Goodman was on KVEG in Las Vegas, every night, dozens of people would call in and report what they saw out there. Next slide. That's Groom Lake again, showing the tunnels that go to Los Alamos. and up to Tonopah. Next. These are the facilities at Groom Lake. The United States Air Force and the government say that there is nothing there. It is a barren desert wasteland with a dry lake bed. There is nothing there. This is where they developed the U-2. Next. It's another view of the same thing. Next. Here's another view. Same. Another view. Another view. Another view. I guess by now you all know there's something there. The runway is over 30,000 feet long. That's 6 miles. It's really closer to 7 miles from the people that I've talked to. This is a satellite, an SR-71 photograph. Next, this is, no, the other one was a satellite photograph. This is an SR-71 photograph, I'm sorry. Next slide. And this is what we've been able to identify as being there. The runway was built in 4 phases. They have a TACAN, which is a tactical navigation tower, navigational aids, access road, refueling ramp, tank farm. Tank farm is fuel tanks. Pipeline, road, housing, MiG haven. They have one of every kind of MiG that was ever built here. Power lines, water supply. This is a National Security Agency, CIA satellite intercepting dish antenna. Next. This is one of the underground tunnels. We found a publication, we'll look for something called Project RAND, which turned out to be a deep underground symposium hosted by the RAND Corporation and attended by some of the biggest defense contractors in the country. And in it were these photographs. Next. The date of this symposium in this publication was 1959. Next. Next. Look at that drill bit, ladies and gentlemen. In this, they said they had the technology to drill a tunnel 45 feet in diameter at the rate of 5 feet per hour. No one knew this technology existed at that time. We thought the Hughes drill bit that drilled for oil was the greatest thing since butter. Next. Look at that. Next. Now you know why Howard Hughes knew almost everything. These were developed by the Hughes Tool Company. Next. 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 What kind of engine turned these things? In the symposium report, it says, just as airplanes, ships, and automobiles have given man mastery of the surface of the earth, tunnel boring machines and shaft sinkers will give him access to the subterranean world. What in the hell are they talking about? And construction of underground facilities. I also saw in the documents that there were underground bases all over this country, specifically in the Four Corners area of Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. Next. Next slide tray. You got to go back to the beginning. Okay, next slide tray. Everybody, stand up, take a stretch so you don't get kinks in your muscles. And we're just going to keep going right on through, and then we'll take a break in about 30 minutes. Totally wrong, and you need to help us find out what the truth is. I don't pretend to know all the truth. I think I have some of the answers. I think I have reached some pretty good conclusions, but again, those are my conclusions, not yours. If in your research or your activities you can prove something that I have said or done or shown you here wrong, I want to know about that so that I can verify your research and your conclusions and change it. Just go ahead and put the first slide on. backwards.
Backwards?
I think so. Is it first?
Forward button.
Okay, go back to 0. Oh, go back to 1. Is that 1? Okay, go to 1.
That's the last one.
Okay.
Should be number 2.
Okay, when we began to research this underground stuff and these tunnels, we found newspaper articles that stated, this is the Los Angeles Times, Wednesday, June 28, 1989, the secret of Moscow's underworld. Moscow also has tunnels under it, as does much of the Soviet Union. And next slide. Next. This is the Dulce, New Mexico area. Let me get my little wizard zip gun here. This is the small town of Dulce, New Mexico. Everybody is making a big mistake calling this the Dulce base, the Dulce underground base, the Dulce papers, the Dulce this, the Dulce that. It causes confusion. I don't know how many people have gone to Dulce, New Mexico, walked all day around that little town, and have come back and said to me, there's nothing in Dulce, New Mexico. And they're absolutely right. There never was. Except some very nice people who are terrified. North of Dulce, however, there is an area called the Archuleta Mesa, up here. Under this mesa is an underground installation of immense proportions. Up Seguro Canyon here, there's an area right in here where there are 400-foot cliffs, out of which people who have gone on expeditions that knew exactly where the base was, because they came and talked to those of us who know and found out where to go, have gone up to these peaks across Seguro Canyon from Archuleta Mesa and observed the mesa and these cliffs and the surrounding area. They have seen UFOs fly over this mesa. They have seen them stop over the mesa and showers of sparks come down. Nobody knows what it means. They have seen craft fly in and out of this 400-foot cliff area here. They have seen strange marks on the ground from the air. They have reported during the night hearing what sounds like CB radios or police radios coming from in this area. And I'm sure you've all heard what that sounds like. But there's nothing up there. There's not supposed to be anything up there. The old-timers who live in the area will tell you that, and that's on the Colorado side up here, the old-timers who live up here on the Colorado side, will tell you that back in the 50s, there was a logging road built up in there, and logging trucks went back and forth every day, but they never brought out any logs. Next slide. This is the Colorado side of Archuleta Mesa. Here's the logging road that they built. You can see it. Went all the way up here and then up into the mesa. It's not being used now. This is all under the Jicarillo Apache Indian Reservation, and Archuleta Mesa is considered to be their holy land, their holy ground. It's an excellent security proposition for them. They didn't have to build fences or anything. The Indians keep people away. The Indians see the strange lights and the craft flying back and forth, and they attributed this to their religious beliefs that they have seen all through their history, that it's in their writings, in their tales, in their stories. You can get some of the most incredible stories about UFOs from American Indians, when they will talk to you. Next slide, please. These are some more of the photographs from the Rand Symposium. Next. Oh, let me see. This is a page from an Air Force textbook. Space, let me see. I forgot the name of it. I think it's Physics and Space Technology, I believe. But anyway, in this textbook, it says the most commonly described alien is about 3 1/2 feet tall, has a round head or helmet, arms reaching to or below his knees, and is wearing a silvery spacesuit or coveralls. Other aliens appear to be essentially the same as Earthmen, while still others have particularly wide wraparound eyes and mouths with very thin lips, and there is a rare group reported as about 4 feet tall, weight of around 35 pounds, and covered with thick hair or fur, and in parentheses they have clothing with a question mark. Members of this last group are described as being extremely strong. Human fear and hostility. It says, besides the foregoing reasons, contacting humans is downright dangerous. Might be one reason they want to keep themselves secret if they're really here. Now, this is a textbook. This is a page out of a U.S. Air Force Academy textbook. Next page. This is another page out of the same textbook. It says, this leaves us with the unpleasant possibility of alien visitors to our planet, or at least of alien-controlled UFOs. When this textbook got into the hands of researchers, they excised the entire chapter from the textbook. Next. See if the name is on here. Nope. Okay, next. This is Janet 146D. You want to know why people don't report these things? Want to know why more airline pilots don't speak up? Why more captains of ships don't speak up? It's because of Janet 146, Joint United States-Canadian Communications Instructions for Reporting, and notice it says vital intelligence sightings. Now, in this regulation, it says, if you make this report, you can be thrown in jail for talking about any of the information in the report. You can be fined. You can lose your license. But if you don't make the report, it's okay to talk about it. Next. And this just goes through telling you what's in here. Next. 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 Wait a minute, go back to the last. Oh, here we go. Stay on that. Unidentified flying objects. Just want to make sure that you know that this specifically stated in this report that they are to be reported. Next. Okay, let's go through this. Go ahead. And go ahead. We just don't have time to cover every paragraph and all of the pertinent information. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going. You can see how extensive this is. Keep going. Keep going. This is some footage that I put in here because someplace I get to where I'm going, and they have assured me they will have a video projector, and they don't. So you'll see a little bit on Kennedy assassination here. I use these photographs because this man was extremely human and photogenic and charismatic. So much so that if you hated his politics, you still couldn't help like John Kennedy. Most of the pictures you're going to see came out of this magazine, next, this magazine, next, and this book, next. Go ahead. Can you imagine pictures like this of Richard Nixon? Lyndon Johnson? George Bush? Gerald Ford? Oops. Next. Next. Look at that. I'm not going to ask you this because some people are probably not going to be able to raise their hand. I just wonder how many men in here have kissed your father lately. Next. This is a photograph of Kennedy after he'd been shot in the throat. Jacqueline is looking at him in horror. He's clutching his throat. Next. This is William Greer beginning to turn around. You can see his hand here, his arm. You can see the end of the gun barrel right there. Next. Now you can see him. Here's his hand, his arm. The gun is right behind this flash of reflection here. You can see him looking directly back at the president. Next slide. Next. Now, you can see the top of Kellerman's head right here. People argue that that's a reflection off the top of Kellerman's head. It is not. You can also see Kellerman's hand is on the wheel. Kellerman, that's his arm and hand, is actually driving the car at that point. Kellerman is a Secret Service agent who was the passenger in the front seat. Pardon? No. No. John Connolly was sitting directly behind Agent Kellerman. And his wife was sitting directly behind Greer. That's John Connolly's wife, and that's John Connolly. Next. Mrs. Kennedy's grave. Next. Everybody wonders why Jacqueline Kennedy never said anything. That's the reason right there. Where were her children? They were being guarded by the Secret Service, who just shot her husband. It was the Secret Service. Who the hell was she going to tell? And what was she going to tell them? To this day, her children are the guard of the Secret Service, and so is she. Next. It was not Lee Harvey Oswald, ladies and gentlemen, because that's him right there, standing in the doorway of the Dallas Book Depository as the motorcade drove by. The Central Intelligence Agency has agents in the civilian community writing books and making statements to keep you confused. They will tell you that's not Lee Harvey Oswald, it's somebody who looks like him.
What was Jack Ruby's story?
I don't know, but he certainly had a part. Next. There he is again. Lee Harvey Oswald. We have done body proportion measurement comparison. We have studied the clothing. We have studied the jawline, the features of the face. Next. And it is Lee Harvey Oswald. Next. And that's us if we don't do something quick. Next. Now, everybody wants to know, why do we have to have a one-world government? Why is it that they won't let us have these things that we know will cure disease? Why are they so hard on homeopathic medicine? Why this, why that, why this, why that? It's simple, folks. Once you really get into it, there is no doubt about it, there is a serious population problem. At the end of World War II, or actually during the war, they did a study to try to determine the effect of the returning soldiers from the war upon the economy. What these people who made the study projected was that there was going to be a whole bunch of babies born. They did a study again in 1957, which stated that the exponential increase of the population would ensure that the population would double between 1957 and 1990, and it did. They said that if something wasn't done, the increase in the use of insecticides, toxic chemical waste, effluent sewage, the pollution of the air, the use of fossil fuels, the use of timber, the increased need for raw materials was going to put us in a crisis, because they said that if something wasn't done to stop the growth of the population would double again 28 years from 1990. And it will. And then we will need twice as many trees, twice as many homes, twice as many cars, twice as much oil, twice as much food, twice as much everything. We will be putting twice as much sewage into the earth, twice as much pollution into the atmosphere, twice as much toxic waste material. And the study said if we don't stop this, if something isn't done, the human race will cause itself to become extinct shortly by or after the year 2000. Some people still didn't believe it. So the Club of Rome was formed secretly by Dr. Aurelio Pacheco in Rome, Italy. He got together a group of elite men and scientists, and they did another study and came up with exactly the same answers. They then commissioned a group of people in the United States at MIT. They put together a team to establish a computer model to determine what can be done to stop this, what can be done to ensure that it doesn't happen again, what can be done to ensure that the human race survives. And the answer is some of the things that I'm going to show you. All of this is in my book. It's thoroughly documented. It's going to really upset some of you, but it's true. The first indication publicly was this book written by Dr. Paul R. Ehrlich. Now, y'all wonder why is Dr. Paul Ehrlich writing these books? That's because his wife, ladies and gentlemen, is a member of the Club of Rome. Next slide. This was copyrighted first in 1968. It was the first indication.